communities meeting for today. I believe I'm not feeling that I'm saying that the school anyway, just in case, but it's okay. Welcome to this meeting of the Community Park Education Communities Committee. This meeting is being held remotely and also in person, and will go filmed and recorded for live and subsequent broadcast available through the Council's website. The Council is a data controller under the General Data Protection Regulations and Data Protection Act 2018. We broadcast and record council meetings to fulfil our public task obligation to enable members of the public to observe the democratic process. Data collected during the process will be retained in accordance with the council's published policies available through the council's website. Members of the council are reminded that they should follow the council's established meeting protocols, including the use of the chat facility, and that comments made in the chat facility are visible to all participants in the meeting, which may include members of the public who have also received invites to the meeting. So with that, I'll pass over to Diane.
We have an apology from Councillor Reynolds with Councillor Curley substituting. We will now move to an attendance roll call for proceedings with deliberations of interest. The following members please indicate they are present at the meeting either in person or remotely. Councillor Armstrong.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Brennan. Present in the chamber. Councillor Clofty.
In the chamber.
Councillor Curley.
Present remotely.
Councillor Maguire. Present. Councillor McBain.
In the chamber.
Councillor Moran.
In the chamber.
Councillor Nelson. Councillor Quinn.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Robertson.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Wilson.
Present remotely.
Did you hear that?
Houston, we have a problem.
Are there any declarations of interest?
Thank you. Yes, items 7 and 17, because I'm on the board of IVCSS, but I have observed the objective test and I don't have to remove myself. I don't believe I have to remove myself. Thank you.
Paper 7 and 17 for the meeting.
When?
Ricky Glazier.
Item 7, chairperson for individual surprise, and I'm for a member of Virginia Church's leadership team. I didn't set an item, and it's just for notice, so I don't set anything.
That's the debate online, also myself from the budget. There's an intention to take 2 private parts at the end of the communities agenda. That is the paper we've been asking for on the King George VI building, and also the private paper on the external governance external organisation. And with that in mind, we move along to agenda item number 2, which is the revenues budget update in the last 3 weeks.
Thanks, Computer. So this is the Community Revenue Budget Report for 2025. Community's revenue budget is currently 5.660 million. The latest projections are overspend of 46,000. That's equivalent to 0.8% of the budget. There's a decrease in overspend of 18,000 since the last committee. Overspend mainly relates to overspend in libraries and museums employee costs due to the not achieving turnover target. It should be noted that the projection excludes around 80,000 of Inverclyde Leisure utility bills, and these will be funded centrally from earmarked reserves for financial year 24-25. Section 3.3 of the report lists the main variances responsible for the projected underspend. And the section 3.4 of the appendix 4 gives you details of the earmarked reserves. The only earmarked reserve relates to the community grants, and there will be no expenditure against that in this financial year. I would like as a substitute next year when the budget saving is taken for that. So there's no variance being requested this committee cycle. So committee has just asked to note the projected overspend of 46,000 for the current financial year. committee are also asked to note that the corporate director continues to seek ways to reduce the. Then I'm happy to take any questions.
You can just get clarity in the last bit, you said under accounts, the boards, you said, no, it's not, I think it's not spent,
Yeah, you can be that. Yeah,
but we're not planning another thing.
there's no earmarked reserve expenditure planned for this financial year, but in the next financial year, when I say budget savings taken from the core budget, that the earmarked reserve is a substitute for the core budget, therefore there will not be any drop in the level it can be spent.
I'll sort of that hold up questions. Any questions? Any no questions online? Can we agree the paper?
Agreed.
We'll move along to agenda item number 3, which is the capital programme. I'll let you introduce it first of all, and then we'll get it.
Happy November, thanks Convener. This is just an update on the community's capital programme and progress on asset related items. You see within the report 4.1, community capital budget is 3.187. The total projected spend this year is 1.28. Within the report you see a number of live facilities updates. Within the report myself already. Happy to get any questions on 3.6 area has got a further private report on this. We leave that to last. Good news on the 3.7 Bobblestone Community Centre and the funding became available from Scottish Government to enhance the sites. Happy to get questions on that. Part of the advance now is now complete, and the committee are now hopefully to have official open in 5th December, and invitations will be sent out very quickly, but the centre is looking very good. Thanks for the support. Happy to get any questions on any of this paper. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Chair. I'll open up to questions for anybody. Ollie, take it first.
Thanks, Convener. On the asset transfers, just how are they progressing? Any of them being completion, or will it be better to go on some?
Tony?
Yeah, there's no delay with any of the asset transfers at the moment. We're proposing a lease. There's a fair bit of back and forward with the community groups themselves. So, but there's no delays at the moment. It's proceeding as planned. So, again, it's one of these difficult ones that we could be waiting for information from the group, or we could be we've certainly done our part of it, and anything that's not clear at this point is just a wait for the back.
Thanks, Convener.
Okay, Tony? Elizabeth?
Thanks, community. The question I've got is also about the asset transfer table. I'm just looking, obviously, most of them, if not all, are proposed leases. I still find that kind of surprising that groups aren't seeking to take ownership of things, etc. And I'm just wondering, is that led by organisations, or is it led by us that we get to the position where it's leases that are being sought?
The asset transfers are led by the groups themselves. We have a presumption of transfer we work with, but in most cases the groups aren't keen on taking on ownership unless they have funding in order to how they're going to run it. So many opt for a lease instead of a longer term lease like the council, but we certainly respond to whatever the community group is wishing to pursue. And if that is a transfer in terms of ownership, then we will work with the challenge.
Okay. So but if we were kind of, when we're setting out our stall, our presumption, unless asked otherwise, is that it would go to full ownership, as that was said there?
Not necessarily. We will wait and see what people are wanting to do, and we usually ask the group what is the group looking to achieve if it is full ownership, and then obviously I've been committed before around the tests that we have to do for full ownership. So that we would respond to whatever the organisation is looking for, and then in the process of asset transfer, look at the business case to see how sustainable that is.
That's fine. Thank you.
Any other questions? Can't see any in the room, and I can't see any online. Can I read the paper?
Agreed.
We'll move on to agenda item number 4. The report on active skills.
Thanks so much, Convener. This is the annual report on active schools, and just to see within the date, this is the 20th year of the partnership with Slow Stop and of project partnership around with active schools. Active Skills 4.1 is obviously providing a number of activities across our school network, primary and secondary, and some out of those schools. Performances against the outcomes that we've got are very high, and you see that as part of the overall attachment or where they're sitting at a national level. So happy to get any papers on the active skills. Just one thing that we are hoping to get involved today is to foster a new approach for working with groups about accreditation, safeguarding accreditation. This is no cost to any of the groups, but what it is to trying to give a very robust system in place to make sure that every group who are participation in sport and schools are aware of the guidance that we're asking them to cover, and we'll give every support to give them to make sure that they're adhering to that. And I'm happy to get any questions in further.
Thank you. All questions? Natasha?
So yeah, I just have one question. It's actually about the accreditation that you just mentioned there. I'm aware that Active Schools has a number of partners. I'm guessing that this accreditation would be for external sporting clubs, groups, whatever you want to call them, rather than it being an Active Schools led session that then gets accredited. It would be for external organisations to that.
Yeah, the main aim of this is to make sure that any group, sports group, volunteer group who are going into any of our school facilities to provide sport activities for young people have followed the guidelines, and in place of that, mostly active school stuff are on the place.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for being
Thanks, Convener. No questions. I just wanted to say how welcome the report is, and I think it's great, and congratulations to all. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, sorry, Natasha. I'm sorry, Francesca. I wasn't too sure what was Robert's again.
Oh, they're very close, aren't they? Yeah, so thanks, Convener. So it's just congratulations on the 20 years of the partnership. It's great. It's obviously working really, really well here. And I see that we are here in Inverclyde, we've got the 4th highest rate of participation, which is excellent, and it's not too far off the top. But I suppose in true sporting tradition, then it's always healthy to think of a wee bit of competition, and I'm just wondering, how do we, is there anything that we think we can do to get our participation higher than the 51%, or is that just as it is a really good sort of maximum level that we're looking at the moment? Thanks.
Not for yourself, Convener. Obviously, our aim is to try and do the best we can and improve. We have improved over the years, but we're still got an improvement plan out. So especially to look at some more engagement with young females in secondary school, and that would hopefully help to raise that profile. But we're currently looking at it. We have a very close relationship with Sports Scotland, who meet regularly to try and suggest how we can move forward things, but we are working on it. Just don't want to stay where we are.
Thanks.
Okay, interesting. Anyone else? No, I can't see anybody online. Can we read the paper? Both one and point two. Thank you. We'll now go on to the general update report. As you can see, it's very in-depth report on 16 items. I'll let Tony start it off.
Thanks, Convener. I don't propose to go through every individual item, but I'll just maybe pick out a few highlights. So this is the normal update report, and there's as Convener said, there's 16 items on it. There's 2 particular requests I'm just drawing attention to before I go into the summary, and that was requesting approval to changes to the IL Memorandum of Understanding. I'll go into a bit more detail in a second, and agreed a 3-year licence, which is a regular thing that we bring to this committee for the Duke of Edinburgh. So we provided updates on the locality planning, the Community Conversations Week, with a council-wide and community planning initiative. The CLBT wants to take quite an active role in setting these up, and we'd like you to obviously take part in these community conversation weeks when they come up. We've provided all the dates there. Some information again on the adopter and all the activity that's happening in Boglestone. Hugh referred to funding earlier as well in terms of refurb of Hoblestone Centre. Also, within the report, something that's already been to the Alliance, this is the independent review of community learning and development in Scotland. It's just to stress that it was a review of the partnership, although we were quite heavily involved, as you can imagine, within the inspection. That's a very good report. So very proud of the team for everything that they did in relation to that inspection. I would hope before to get into the Enterprise Leisure Annual Report, because we've already given a briefing to you in a separate meeting, and also just highlighting some of the good work again that's going on within our fantastic library service, particularly the work they're doing about health improvement, promotion of realistic lesson, looking at how they're supporting that, and also an item about Heart in the Library, which was an initiative that kind of follows on, although it's not completely limited to our work in terms of education around the transatlantic slavery. And also just highlighting the Oceans Festival, which is now over, but also highlighting some of the work that's going on in the Law Institution that's closed the next 2 weeks as we take some essential work around the lighting rigs there, and that's been fantastic what it's done. So in relation to the IEL Memorandum of Understanding, this is in relation to requests from the IEL board to improve employee access and development to the board, and it would be reducing the amount of time that employees are on the board from I think it's 3 years at the moment down to 1 year, to allow for further opportunities for staff to participate. However, that needs to be approved by us. It's been approved by the IEL board, and it's now the request has come to this committee to approve that. And I think that's me. I'm happy to take any questions on any aspect of the report.
Okay, thank you, Tony. I'm going to open up for questions. Elizabeth, first of all, please.
Okay. Just a note back to the last paper, you made me feel old with that 20-year comment, so thanks for achieving that today. This paper just consistently shows me how amazing our library services are as well, and I just want to we always put it on record, but again and again, but I think we should, because our libraries always just go above and beyond, so thank you for everything that they do. There are some papers here that have already come through the Alliance process, and we've been it's been nice to see the partnership praised and thanked for the work that they do, and I guess just echoing that in this chamber as well. So congratulations on all the successes that are done on a partnership level. I'm afraid I do have a query, however, which Tony and I have already discussed. In terms of 3.9, I'm not sure I think this is a good move from Inverclyde Leisure. I'm not on board, and I've not had sight of this up until it came through as an update here. I'm interested that we actually have to approve it. I'm now kind of going, am I going to take it as far as saying I wouldn't? I don't think this is a step in the right direction from a governance point of view. If I understand that the Inverclyde Leisure want to have a development opportunity for people in terms of their board, but I think there's a way to do that while still having a member of staff on the board on the same terms, the parity was dealing with the rest of the board members, and therefore being a full 3-year term board member. And I'm going to be honest now, quite considerable experience on boards says that your first year is absolutely a year of learning. If you are literally coming on a board for 1 year and then after your first year coming back off, I don't think you have an impact on that board. And I worry therefore that the voice of employees on the Inverclyde Leisure Board is never going to be a truly consistent parity of esteem with everybody else's voice on the board. I think a way to kind of build in the development side of things would be to have somebody have the ability to shadow the board, to attend as an observer, and people maybe getting the development opportunity to be the person that does that in addition. But I think that being the only, a 1-year term being the only representation of the voice of the employees on the board is a retrograde step. I might formalise that. I'm going to just read the room, if that's okay.
Okay, I'm going to go first on that, and then I'll bring in Robert and then.
Yeah, I suppose it's just to add to what Councillor Robson said. I suppose there is there are already opportunities for staff to rotate them through observation within the board, but this is in relation to actually the employee attendance at the board, but there are staff that do rotate them to observe.
I'm going to go to them, I'm going to bring in Rob, first of all, Rob.
Thank you, Gabriel. First of all, I'd like to say, go down about the back, and I really do appreciate the lighting in there. And it's something, I'm going to be honest, I didn't think it worked, because I've known it back for years. But I think it does work. I think it works really well. I want to congratulate the officer on that. My question is on the Fairer Future Partnership, and we're talking about Roseburg Community Centre. At the moment, Upper Port Glasgow is probably the lowest life expectancy anywhere in Scotland, I mean, the Berkeley. These sort of initiatives, which I'm all in favour of, but as Elizabeth said, Berkeley is in my mind a good success story. But a lot of people we want to target still can't afford to go to that vision. So on this initiative, why, if talking about the park, earlier there's people in about all the time, why should people in it? I want to, for some mechanism we can use in Upper Port Glasgow, where people could have a lot, just do it for run. And it'd be organised and what it wouldn't cost a penny. And that would go a long way to help the situation that I think is intolerable. And somebody that did that, I think it's a national disgrace. But there must be something we can do. But this be something we can start the bottom line. Just give them so it can go along and run around the perimeter after, just to give them something, and it didn't cost them nothing. That's what I'm saying. Is that possible through the Fairer Funding?
Sure.
For yourself, it's a very good question, Councillor, is that, and the answer is yes. What we're looking at is how do we enhance the Boglestone facility, and we're now receiving money through the Fairer Futures Partnership to enhance that and work with more partners to encourage participation within the Upper Glasgow and the health and wellbeing, but also activity. One of the things that we're doing with that is that we will be looking at events in the Boglestone Centre away from a provider, that we will then support that and work closely with the community. But first of all, we have to do is co-design that with the community to see what we do this. But we're happy to work with community councils and the wider Glasgow to have that interaction.
Yeah, well, if you decide to maybe do a flyer or something, I'll help you deliver it because we need to do something.
I would only comment on we've seen stuff that fits in where childcare, spot doctor stuff as well, so in that fits in well, and again, in partnership with Scottish Government, so again, to start a back to the Scottish Government meeting in the front of that as well, and so it's certainly got benefits for the overall strategy over the early years and really probably. Natasha?
Yeah, thanks, convener. I suppose for me it's more comments than questions. This whole paper has got a lot of good stuff that has been happening for the area and that will be happening for the area, and I think it's really important as a council that we let people know that these things that are happening. We need to communicate this. So like the early adoption, the Fairer Future Partnership, I'm sure in due time we will have information on that. But things like the Duke of Edinburgh Awards, and where the awards are next week, I think they are. And we've got one of the highest uptake rates across the country, and I think that's something to celebrate, that our young people want to develop themselves so much. And then when we look at what we've delivered across the summer, what our libraries have delivered, things like the Battle of the Heart lighting project might seem like quite simple, or we're going to put lights in, but actually it has led to a great increase in the way that people feel about our area. So I suppose, as part of my comment, we need to recognise that there's a lot of good work going on, even though we have had to make cuts and things over recent years. But I think it's really important that we recognise that the work that officers put in, the work that employees put in, but that we also make sure that the public hear when things are coming up and when we have done things like this. So well done to everybody. I don't want to go through every little thing in this because it is just so much. And on Elizabeth's point about the board term, I can see both sides of it. I can see for an employee 3 years being quite a long time to commit to that, but I've been on board as well, and that first 12 months you are really on your feet, so I'm open to being persuaded about what's best for IL and what's best for employees.
Okay, thanks. can we still hold that?
Absolutely.
Bring Lynn in and then Tommy. That's okay. Like,
Yeah, thanks. No, as I say, lots in there, and we're glad that they're just wee updates because the papers would be that big and each needs their individual report. So it's good to kind of get oversight of all that in a nice condensed summary and a nice way. So I just want to make a comment under 3.6, the Battery Park lighting. It was really interesting your point, Robert, about when I asked at Pro Council, God, a good number of years about the women's safety survey, there was comments about, well, you know, concerned about safety for men. And I think the point I did make was that if we make it safer for women, by default, we'll make it safer for men. So this is a pretty good example and good timing with your comment that everyone enjoys the extra safety, not just women, but we were focused on gender-specific concerns about women not going out running or walking their dog or whatever and feeling unsafe. So I just wanted to make that point. So it's great to see that in operation. I just want to take advantage of Eddie's here. There's just been some comments about the reliability. I think because there's solar run, about reliability, because sometimes there's patches that's maybe not, the lights are maybe not working. It's just if someone can have a wee look at it. Obviously we know there will probably be teething problems when we're setting up something really new, and it's just getting that right. So it was just a wee ask, because a few members of the public had asked that there was maybe wee dark patches that the lights are not fully operational. Great, thanks.
I'll bring you in.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mr. Quinn. We have some issues with the lights. We're still waiting for a charger to be installed. So the charger's going on the 20th of November. It'll be guaranteed from Rhodes. So hopefully after the end of November, the full charger. Because at the moment just running off slow. So the charger has been issues with the contractor, but that should be installed on the 20th, 21st of this month.
Brilliant, thanks.
Okay, Tommy.
Thanks for doing that, the IL point. I think as it was three very valid points there, I think it's no longer changed down the years, there's a lack of continuity, and there's a lack of people maybe not have time to push the ideas through. So I would certainly be close to the 12 months. At least that's for 24 hours of my thoughts.
Thanks, Tommy. Anything else on that? Now, Amber, you want to come in?
Yeah, I think it's been a wee while ago. I think I made the kind of same point. So I'm sitting here as a member of Clyde Leisure board member, and something goes through the board and we'll make a decision. And then now I'm sitting here looking at it kind of again as an elected member, and there's a question over, so where does the responsibility fall in terms of agreeing these types of changes and whose responsibility it is? Because I'm sitting here a bit conflicted in a way because I'm involved in making that decision, and I'm sitting over in my Clyde Leisure understanding the reason for this change, and I'm supportive of the reason for the change, but then I'm over here going, right, okay, so I probably welcome some sort of guidance on responsibilities of the committee versus the actual board.
Right, you, would you like to, because I'm the exact same.
For you, convener. I'm literally looking at the clause of the clause 28, which is produced in paragraph 3.9, and it's stating that no changes to the article shall be made without the express written consent of Inverclyde Council. So obviously there'll be input from Inverclyde Leisure, but requiring the express written consent of Inverclyde Council before anything could be changed. So I think that's really quite clear in its terms.
So I'm not going to speak for them, but I'm the exact same. I think the point is we've been in the Clyde Leisure board as appointees of the council, and we've agreed with that as the Clyde Leisure board as appointees of the council and representatives of the council, we can call it that. And that's why we're able to sit at this and not need to go outside, because it's the council puts us on that. We've agreed with that, and now we're back here asking the exact same thing. So I know me sitting here, after agreeing on it there, I'm saying to myself, well, where do we stand? You can't actually go against something you've already agreed on Parliament of Clyde Leisure. And I'm not speaking for them, but I think that's where the conflict comes in with regard to where we are with both. How do you square that circle? Or is it just the case where it's up to you as individuals, you're there as and what point you were not mandated? Sorry, Anne.
to you. Again, I can understand the tension, but the clause is very clear that it would be the consent of the Inverclyde Council and Education Communities Committee folks that have been asked to consider this matter. So there'll obviously be a number of members of the committee today who've already reached out to you about that, and we'll be looking for those members to reach a view today. So that's good for anything else.
No, and when would you like to provide them?
Yeah, so I think the point is that at the board we're having that operational discussion around the reason for this, and probably hear that kind of comment from, you know, those that run operational Inverclyde Leisure aren't here to explain the rationale, so we're making no assumption. That sounds like it's not meant to be critical over this, but maybe if she had the information to say this is the reason why and here's the pros and cons, then that decision could be made with full knowledge. But here it's as if we're not really making a decision kind of remote from the actual operational side. So I don't know whether it's just, yeah, that's the bit it's probably missing, is Inverclyde Leisure coming along and explaining the rationale for that change.
Before I bring myself in, can I bring Ruth in as a corporate director? Ruth?
Yes, so my understanding is the board had discussed this. It was the want of the board to change the staff members to year rather than 3 years, and the rationale behind that. So I suppose what we're asking here is the committee to understand why they have opted to do that. My understanding is it was to improve the employee feeling connection with the board. As well as having people observing, they felt that people would understand more of the workings of the board. Also to look at 3 years being a long time if it was particularly gender specific as well, and it was to encourage more people to have the confidence to come up and stand on the board. I understand that you know, basically our articles of association say that the IL can't just make changes to the arrangements of its board, how the board runs, without asking the council, and that's due governance. But my understanding is that this particular request was from the board of IL, which has led to members on the representatives.
Thank you, Ruth. I'm going to bring Pam in, and then I'll bring the flashback into the link at last.
No, it comes from me. Elizabeth was before me.
But I'm just linking Elizabeth last one.
No, fine. I'm happy to go to last.
Thanks, convener. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen this before. This paper. I'm not on IL. And I'm listening with great interest to the reasons why operationally IL feel this is a positive move. But I'm also, I'm also minded that the employee representative needs to be a full, meaningful, participating on an equal basis with everybody else, and that's not possible if the person is only there for a year. And I think that I understand about wanting employees to be more involved, and I think that's laudable. But as a board member, the employee needs to be on that. And it seems to me to be on an equal basis with everybody else, and I don't think that's really possible in an annual term and changing annually. I suppose for me, I would be hoping that IL could find other ways of meaningfully involving employees rather than reducing the term of the employee board member. Thank you.
In that case, I'll bring Elizabeth.
Thank you.
No, if Elizabeth wants to come last. So I suppose I've got 2 questions. Well, 1 point and 1 question. So I agree with what Councillor Quinn said there. Like, we don't know the operational reasons or the background discussion that happened with this, and nor would we, because we're not board members, and that's not been included within this paper. Practically speaking, if we were hypothetically, because we haven't made a decision yet, if we were to say, no, we're not content with it being 12 months, we either want to revert it back to 36 months or we want to do 24 months. What practically does that look like? So I'm aware that this committee is not going to sit for another period, not sure when the next IL board is. So what does that practically mean for the IL board themselves and for the decision coming back to us, and what conversations need to happen there, what process needs to happen hypothetically if we were to change this?
Tony, I'm afraid that's yours.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, you have a role on kind of a role in that we're present. And if there are concerns from the committee or you'd like us to take anything back to the board, I could certainly do that and express the concerns of the committee about the changes to that. And I suppose it would be a case of counter from the board if they felt it necessary that I would bring that here. So, that's another probably, I think that's probably the best way of doing it, is just going back through officers and certainly to sector that want to drive that to the board.
Okay, so I'm going to bring Elizabeth back in. So Tony's suggestion is, without us taking a vote here, Tony, you tell me if I'm right or not, what we actually do is back and say, look, we've had this at the play, and without a vote, respectfully members who were of the opinion that a year is not long enough, and get a more fuller explanation from whoever IL on when they think that, and then with that information, come back to the next committee meeting of here, and then put that, and if members are still of the feeling that, that again with me, because I've already done the full IL, probably the same thing, I'm a wee bit of a precarious position to double vote when you can go against the vote already done. But I think Tony's suggestion might be a good suggestion. And then if people still feel that way, then so be it. I'm going to bring Elizabeth in. That's okay. If you want to come in first for me, I want to get Elizabeth in the last one.
Don't mind. I think in the report, I have stated the reason why they want to reduce this to give employees an opportunity to stay on board, which is the right to do. And we've heard myself, Councillor Robertson, why we think 12 months is not long enough. It's maybe only half a dozen meetings of the board in that period. So we've had that reason. And obviously, if there are any other reasons, I would expect it to be in the report. So this appears to be the only reason. So I don't need to send it back. We just need to respond what we're seeing today. And just a question to be honest. As a member of the IO, yourself and Councillor Quinn, if we vote on this, I simply can now get advised whether yourself and Councillor Quinn would be part of that vote or not. Because I don't know if you're a dual purpose here. So
I think we're allowed to vote whether we want for or not. I think that's down to discretion. Actually, that's my opinion on it. Because we don't recuse ourselves for start because we are on teams.
You can be very late, so that's absolutely right. That's consistent with the advice that we're given by the monitoring officer.
So whether we do, I think that's a personal choice. Or whether it's to vote. But I'll bring Elizabeth in. Elizabeth.
It's a kind of peculiar position that and I'm feeling very sorry for IL here actually, because they're not masters of their own destiny, and this seems like quite a modest thing, but actually it does matter to me, that the governance of our organisations is robust. And it's peculiar, obviously, the situation that they're in with us, that they do have to have us approve this for them to be able to action it. And I don't know, I don't think I can, and the kind of request that's been made of us. I do have a couple of quick questions. Yeah. What I've expressed today, was that discussed at all when this was discussed at the leisure stage of this?
I can only speak for myself. Oh, sorry, no, let the officers.
That particular issue around the impact of being in the one for a year wasn't discussed.
Right,
it was we came at it from a positive move to increase participation, and that was the proposal. But certainly, I don't recall any discussion around whether a year or 2 years, or it's seen as a positive move, so that's why.
Okay, I genuinely find that quite astounding, to be honest, because it's you're literally saying that one full member of your board is not in fact a full member of your board. They are, and I know they, and we're happy, I'm a hypocrite saying this because, for example, on the Beacon board, everybody's there for a 3-year term, apart from me and you, because we're there as councillors for 5 years, right? So I get that this is complete hypocrisy on a level because we get the additional 2 years that everybody else doesn't get, right? But I think I really am struggling with this. Do they have, and this is again something I just want clarity on based on how the conversation's going, they do currently have an employee member who's on for 3 years, right? So this is, it's not, right, okay. I just don't think the moving to 1 year is going to make a stronger link. I think what they think it's going to do, it's not going to achieve. And that's based on 30 years of experience on boards now. Right, I used to kind of go, I've got a wee bit, I have now got quite a lot of experience on boards, and 30 years experience tells me that I don't think it's going to work. And actually, in terms of the kind of, you know, the gender side of it, and people have, you know, maybe thinking 3 years is a long time. There's a kind of behaviour and expectations side of things which can be addressed by the board and its culture, rather than doing it through the Member Arts. Because a board member can leave at any time they want to leave. You know, there's an expectation of a 3-year term, but you don't necessarily have to stay on if, for example, you move it to another job or you kind of your life circumstances change. So there's always the option for a member to not complete their full 3-year term. I know you don't like votes. I know you don't.
No, as you know, I'm a consensus politician, but the situation is you've heard from Tony his advice of what to do. You've heard Tommy was supporting what your views going to propose. You've heard from myself and Lynn, our position, well, my position, or position. So it's really up to you, actually.
So where I'm at is I feel strongly about this. Clearly, I feel strongly about this. But I would feel like a heel if I was saying, right, we're making the decision and we're telling you you're not going to do what you want to do. So I'm probably going to disappoint Councillor McVeigh here, but I'm quite happy to kind of go back to Clive Leisure and go, we're not convinced that this is the right course. I am not convinced that it's the right course of action anyway. And can we get more rationale, more reason? If it's more than this, I need to hear it. If it's only this, then if it came back with just this, then I would be calling it to a vote next time.
I'm going to bring Lynn back in.
Yeah, again, I'm kind of sitting here in a weird position because the positive aspect of this decision was something that I pressed for. So I really don't want to go into the details of that because it was a long and lengthy conversation about something else. So I can see, so I did focus on the positive aspect, but I think it's right to go back to Clive Leisure and say, right, we've got the positive aspect of this, can we combine it with the concerns, Lizzie's concerns, and somehow come up with a compromise here? Because I did focus on the positive, because the positive will be really positive, and that's related to gender balance. So if we can combine those two things, I think that hopefully that should work if pretty much Liz is in agreement. If that kind of makes sense.
I'm looking for a combined one that piece to be right now. Tommy, it is yourself. Are you happy with that? Yeah. We're happy with it. Tony goes why, and actually expressing to actually say, well, look, you need to come up with a bit of explanation, or you need to go into more detail on what you've been thinking about social people. Sorry, Natasha, you want to?
Yeah, just a thought, and I don't want to dictate or suggest to a board so they can totally discount this, but is maybe if we're looking to get more participation, is it maybe an idea to look at the number of employees on the board? So maybe have 2 instead of 1. It's just a suggestion if you're trying to get that gender balance or trying to encourage more participation. It's just a thought. Once again, it's up to IL as a board to decide what's best for them and then bring it back here. But it's just a thought. If I talk about increasing participation, if it's not by reducing length of service, then it would be increasing the number of board members. But that might have other implications depending on the setup.
No, so I'm exploring just to say I don't know. I don't know, so I think we need to take advice from IL, particularly their solicitors as well.
You're okay with it?
They would have to ask us to put the
Just you can take it or you can leave it. It's just when thinking about how do you increase participation if it's not reducing the term, that's but yeah, but once again, not dictating to another board what they should have done.
But the reason do that, we've got to get our incentive organisation that we have governance responsibility over. So I'm quite clear that this board is within its right to do what was suggested. I've absolutely no problems with that at all. But I'll take. Oh, you for right? Okay. Yeah.
Before you move on, it's just I made a mistake in the report that I just correct.
Okay. Yeah. By all means.
I talked about, and I'm still writing the crest of the wave of the positive inspection report for CLB, but that's what I talked about, but that's not what was there. The articles for the independent review just done nationally. So apologies for that. Just
But if you feel one.
Yeah, okay. I'm absolutely right here. So what we're actually going to do is we'll agree the first part of the report, and for the second part of the report, we'll just continue that for further information from Cloud Leisure. Do we have the partnership?
Yep.
Okay, and thanks for that.
For further information on the revised.
Yeah, but Corey will be do that with the knowledge that we've got from the training and practice got from today. Okay. Okay. Now we can move on to number 5. Found property. We've got again, this is one of the things for the lines, but we'll put it to the first of all.
Yeah, you convener and agenda item 6, the Child Protection Report, and also agenda item 8, the CLD video plan, both been through the Alliance Board in the year at Education and Communities for information, because it's very difficult to separate the communities part of this committee with the partnership working, both of them are partnership plans. However, 6 is in new business and 8 is in reaching decisions and accountability, and they both have the same parity as team. So either 6 should be next to 8 or 8 should be up next to 6, and apologies for that. But since I'm allowed to give an introduction, I will give an introduction. It's a very important report for us. There is a huge amount of work undertaken across the board to mitigate the impact of poverty. We absolutely are not there yet. We see the statistics right through the report, and there's a lot of work to be done. But you see that the local action report is in 2 parts. The first part is looking at some of the stories, some of the initiatives we've undertaken over the last year, and the second part forms an action plan and detailing the actions we will take next year. And you will see that right throughout the action plan, it has partnership written all over it. It's not just to do with one member and one service. It's looking at with our friends in the NHS, HSCP, HSCP, CBS in Clyde, the West College Scotland. It has partnership right over it, and absolutely that's what it should have, because it's a partnership plan. Happy to take any questions on the report. I know there were some quite detailed questions on the Alliance Board about it that I think we've been pursuing, but happy to take any questions.
Okay, let's get a report with this here and Robert here. I'll open up questions from members. Thanks.
Hi, it's very much convener. So it's an incredibly important report and really challenging figures in there, and you know, one of the most important issues of our time, child poverty, and that absolutely looking at Inverclyde child poverty local actions is something that we should take with the utmost seriousness. So I think when I'm reading through this report, I see organisations that been available like Home Start, Inverclyde, Rainbow Family Centre, part of the council, ASN Parent and Carer Group, really showcasing the absolutely excellent practice that they would all have embedded within their work. And here at the council as well, I would say there's all the officers that we speak to when we challenge back on child poverty, the responses we get from them say that they're leaving no stone unturned when it comes to tackling child poverty, so we get absolute assurance in that. I think we all know that prevention is better than cure when it comes to child poverty, and what a lot of this report is about is, I think, about mitigating the impact of the child poverty that we've seen over generations in our area, and trying to really kind of, I suppose, protect and wrap families in services that will protect them from the worst effects of child poverty. But in terms of that whole prevention being better than cure, I suppose my question really is about, without seeing a huge improvement in terms of economic prospects, jobs, high quality jobs in the area that we've seen that we've lost across Inverclyde over the past year, even more than we had in the past, I'm wondering what is going to change in terms of lifting families out of poverty so that they can absolutely provide for their children in the way that they want to, instead of having to always be relying on services that we must have because they're really softening the blow of poverty. But I'm just thinking, I think it's just that point about the economy and the jobs for people here in Inverclyde and about what that means in terms of absolutely kind of changing what we see in these stats again and again. Thanks.
It's a difficult one. It's probably not a comment, but I'll let Ruth come in as a corporate director on it because I'm sure there's like 71 with this.
And you'll see, I mean, we've got the whole key areas in the Inverclyde approach, which is the drives that put problems through, and one of them about to adapt. But there are others as well. For instance, always being complacent with the cost of living, really making sure that schools are affordable, looking at the amount of different types of days, the cost of trips. It's becoming a way of life now for our practitioners, making sure that new thinking is actually that what's the impact on families and what's the cost of living. And absolutely, you know, there's a range of stories here, and sometimes it's not necessarily about actual monetary value. I mean, sometimes it's about being able to give people security and resilience as well, and actually be able to put them in a better place to take the next steps, no matter what that might be. You know, some of the impacts of poverty, which is social isolation, health inequalities. Working with all our friends, our partners, making sure that people are not only able to live in the best way they possibly can, but are also resilient to go forward. And I'm not just looking at the one-handed friendship here that's open. You know, people are actually having a company, haven't been able to go to somewhere that is free of charge, just like we looked at earlier. It's a huge difference to people's emotional health.
Thanks very much. It is. I mean, the work that's done is so important, and I completely agree with everything that Councillor Brennan said. One of the things, speaking about the actual physical report here, one of the most powerful things I think that we do in this report is put forward the needs assessment. I think articulating what the situation is and knowing our area, knowing the situation for our area and being able to articulate that clearly is one of the most powerful things we can do. And I was wondering if there's any way that this can be made, that the needs assessment side of things can be made available in the widest possible context for other partners, third sector organisations, etc., who are in the space of also trying to bring resource, funding, support to the area to also tackle child poverty, because I can guarantee there's people scrabbling about for information or trying to build a case for why they should get particular funding, when actually what we've got is we've got the Inverclyde needs assessment here. So I'm wondering if there's a way that can just routinely, every time we update it, be shared widely for people to use it as an evidence base.
So absolutely, yes, and the CDS are involved in the group itself, and we absolutely encourage the partnership working between the third sector to link into not only to the child poverty action planning, but also the children's services planning as well. So actually, we're all looking towards the same aims. Anybody who wants this data can have it. It's in the public today. It's absolutely there to be used. And if anyone wants us to help with it, analyse it, we've got got a really good relationship with some partners nationally as well, who will work with us, especially Public Health Scotland, who will work with us and help us use the data. There is no issue with this. This is all.
I think it'd be great if we could promote that and almost say, look, here's the case has been made, this is why we need resource, why we need funding, etc. And if we could promote that, that would be amazing, I think.
Sorry, Elizabeth, while I was talking to that, I wasn't too sure who owns the data. Is it through the Alliance? I know we're talking about co-production, the whole idea here is partnership. I wasn't too sure because it's came to be understood the Alliance board first.
The data is in the
Can I bring you okay? Yeah. Can I bring Natasha and then Robert?
Thank you. It's just quite heartbreaking at points reading some of the stats here, the fact that the relative and absolute poverty of children has increased. You can see that on the graphs, and it's a stark reminder of our responsibilities, I think, here as councillors. Like, of course, we've never forgotten that poverty is an issue in our area, but seeing it on paper makes it hit that little bit inside me that gets a bit emotional, if I'm being honest. And unfortunately, we do still have a long way to go. But looking at this report, we can see just what has been getting done and the impacts it's having, and actually having the bits where it's, I think it was from the early adopters scheme, where you actually have the families, the people that have used that space that we've created for them. Actually, those stories are the ones that remind us why we do this. When reading through it, I agree that with what Francesca was saying there, it's about that wider picture of we need jobs so that people can get out of the situation that we're in, because whilst prevention is usually better than cure, fortunately, if you've already got an issue with that, trying to get out of that is sometimes an endless and needless cycle. The priorities plan at the back cuts across a lot of different partners, which I think just shows the power of the Alliance Board and the power of what we're trying to do locally. With this priorities plan, how often are we going to get updates on that? And probably just before I get an answer for that, I think that this important part of what Ruth was saying around, it's not just about the financial poverty, it's the health poverty, it's the social isolation that comes with that, it's that skewed network, and that's sometimes that lack of information. I know that there's definitely people my age, sometimes myself included, where maybe skills haven't been passed on because your family wasn't taught them. You didn't have that opportunity because of the background that you came from. So lots of good stuff in here. We've still got a long way to go before we get to where we want to be as an area. But when will we hear back about the priorities plan, or will that go to the Alliance Board and then it'll be next year before we hear about it here? That's my main question.
Yes.
So we have a requirement to do a local action report on a yearly basis. What we've done in the reply is have a 3-year strategy, because we said actually, the strategy needs to be longer term, but we create a local action report on an annual basis. So that will go to the Alliance Board, an upgrade fix go to the Alliance Board through the groups. There'll also be an apologies group, will oversee, and also the Children's Services Plan will oversee the run plan day-to-day over the year, but you'll get an annual update.
Okay. And ask one final
Yes.
question. Sorry, thanks for that. It was just around with the plan itself, and I'm sure there's mechanisms, probably the Alliance Board and that equalities group that you're mentioning there. A lot of the due dates are September, March next year. There's some for 2026. So receiving a slippage or whatnot, does that go back to the Alliance Board as well, or what happens with that? I'm just aware there's a lot of partners there, and that things happen in public sector quite regularly where budgets change, pressures change, so I'm just wanting to understand a bit better what happens with that management of it.
Okay, so in actual fact, it's strange because the requirement is only for us to produce a report. It doesn't actually require us to produce an action plan. What we thought why not? It's just an obvious thing. So there's a group that oversees the running of the local action report and the planning for that. We then report into the umbrella group. Now that umbrella group will go towards the Children's Services Plan and the inequalities as well. But if you were to take the whole of the Alliance Board and put all of the plans in, we could end up with hundreds of outcomes. So what we do is we take the big hitters. So for instance, if you look at page 61, we would have the high level actions, higher level actions, and that would be reported to the Alliance Board. The actual governance group will look at any stage and what oversee the times. What I would say is putting a date on the end of the project for this type of work is really, really difficult. It's same with community learning and development. There is times for shorter, sharper planning, but there's other times when you co-design things with communities. We don't exactly know what's going to happen, so we need to push forward with the aspirations of what we'll do, but we give ourselves a little bit forgiveness and it's not really come up in much distance.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And I totally get what you're saying with that. But some of these might need to be carried over, they might need to be extended. Understand that. Thank you for answering my questions.
Robert.
Thanks, Convener. Suppose to echo Ruth's point of view about the All Hands of Friendship and what a success it's been. And it's not an exorbitant amount of money for what we get out of it. It's actually amazing. I know we're extended for 3 years and somebody helps out one. I know the big difference it definitely makes. So in that, I suppose the free school meals for primary schools, that's another great thing to do. I'd like to see maybe further just how successful that is. Some data on that, that'd be interesting. But look at the data, and there is all sorts of, different agencies all collating this together, which it comes up again. We're always the worst, not just the fact of the matter. There's nothing I can say about that I've not already said. But I'm just looking going forward, and the co-design approach we said. Well, appoint a co-design worker to conduct better co-production work with families facing poverty. A community coalition will establish 3 localities where adaptive community will spread. I wonder what you mean by that, I mean, it's technical jargon.
Well, you can come in if you want to.
Yeah. It's what it is, Tracy, is that we're looking at a co-production model part of the money we're putting from Scottish Government. And we talked about earlier about the project that we've done in York, Birmingham, Glasgow. Well, we not want to roll that out across East and Central and South and South West. But the idea is that we're working with the farmers to see what we've got and learn from what we've already done for Glasgow to enhance that. So that process is started. We have the funding agreed and in place until March 2026. And that will be a part of the early adopter project. And that's the co-production. And some of that will tie back to the Fair Futures projects that we're also.
Right. Okay. Apologies because I wasn't aware of it. I mean, I should have, but I wasn't aware of it. But see going forward, are we going to some real tangible evidence if it's worked? I mean, I know there's some testimonies in here. I went to university because something about my child and stuff like that. But to me, that's probably not enough. You're talking in your primary. Is there any tangible evidence how many people we have helped? Or how, and if it spreads out, as you say, they'll tell the next door school, St Michael's, and then St Frank, and then it's spread. So is there any tangible evidence on that particularly?
Yeah, for yourself, there's obviously the tangible stuff that we've got is Scottish Government giving us additional money. The work that we've done in Glasgow, because we're working with 35 families in there, and we can see the impact on that. But how they didn't have after school care, that helps now, helped with the holiday care, and moving on to make sure that they're ready either to get into employment or college or any other things. So that's it working, and the model we're working to try and develop across the Fair Futures and also the early adopter, it's the same model. So we take that out across a lot of areas like East and Central and South and South West. These will be in place by the end of March 2025. So we're interacting and using the exact same model to do that, and we'll come back and further.
But thank you.
Okay, Robert. Lynn.
Yeah, thanks. As you said, I've seen it at the Alliance Board. This is my second round to this one, so you'll be very full. I'm not going to ask all the questions I asked here, but I've probably had one that's probably more up to date. You got the answer.
Just in case you asked it again.
No, it's a different one, so sorry, you've probably not got the answer to this one because it's a different one. So I've noticed under there about the developing young workforce coordinators, and we're extending that contract to 52 weeks, which is great because clearly some young people might support once the school term ends, and that's probably where it's probably really difficult to get in there when they've kind of moved on from school. But it's just that general conversation around the fact that our developing young workforce coordinators are temporary, you know, and about retention and the security and the sort of building relationships. Because I think they do have a role in, don't they? They're temporary workers that have got kind of rolling contract. I think it's partly to do with the funds and yes. But I know some local authorities have kind of taken the risk and made them permanent and kept their fingers crossed that the funding keeps coming. So it's just around that, is that proving an issue, the fact that they're temporary contracts and they don't have a guaranteed continuity of staff in that home.
I get back to you on that.
Yeah.
I think I've got a very positive answer for you, but I just want to double check my facts before I give you that.
Right, great, thank you.
And just share it.
I will share. But to say that the DYW funding is year on year, so it is an issue.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the fundings that is within that quite need as well. So that does cause tensions in the system, and absolutely delighted with the work that happens in the crime. And I'll get that answer I just want to check my facts.
Yeah, and the fantastic work is the reason why I'm asking that question.
Okay, that's the cycle. And can we agree the paper?
Indeed.
Thank you. And we move on to agenda item number 7, which is I'll say a mountain, I hope, but I'll get to you.
Yeah, first, I think this is just a paper to give, obviously, responsible committee the update on the grant committee that took place earlier in the year. And the paper gives you all the allocation of funding is given out to a number of organisations, sport groups and community groups. Happy to get any questions on it.
You can ask you, is there still a review outstanding on the grants?
Yes, there is.
There is. In what sort of it's?
50% of it, we've had 2 phases of the review of the grants to one of the organisations. We've done the first review, which was to remove some of the remove fencing. And the elected members asked us to look at some scenario planning about different decisions we go through. So we've done one part of the review which was originally asked for, but we are now going into the second one, which came out of the workshop in the funds.
Okay, sorry about that. Lynn?
Yeah, I've just got a kind of technical question. See, on the report when it goes under sport, so it looked to me as if under sport got the under 19 subsidy in terms of less, but also other things that have been funded. Is there any way it separates that out, that it's purely the under 9 means, you know, it seems to be combined. I'm just seeing if we've got a report that separates that out.
For yourself, convener, we used to do that a number of years ago, and then until the mayors got everything together, but we don't do that now, but we can look at that to see if we can show you the under 19s, about anything under 19, we can probably show you that.
Yeah, because there's kind of some project work and then there's kind of day-to-day refunds, do you know what I mean? So the two of them are kind of separate and it's all mixed in, so it would be good to see the sort of project work versus the kind of everyday annual ongoing costs.
It's because we've got 3 categories now, some is for labour, some is for projects and some is for maintenance, so we can
separate that out. Okay, thanks.
Thanks. You have any other questions, Mark? Can we note the report?
Yep.
And again, another report should be relatively straightforward, and this is the Community Learning Development Partnerships 3 year. Julie, we're going to start us off or what we're feeling?
Yeah, just there, with yourself, convener, due to the regulations set across Scottish Government regulations in 2013, we require by each local authority to produce a 3-year plan. And this is obviously the Alliance Board for approval. It's a partnership plan, it's not a service plan, it's a partnership plan. And this is the plan for the next between 24 to 27. Happy to take any questions from the plan.
Thank you. Any questions? Rob?
Aye, just a comment, I have to say, you know, I'm really glad to share report, you know. I don't think anyone sitting here has not seen the Tunis team, you know, the work we do with our community. It's just amazing. And it's good to know it. We'll have a 3-year plan and we'll continue the good work he does and his team. I want to pass on best wishes to you and pass on the rest of the staff for the great work you do in the CLD. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. No other questions? Can I read the report?
Agreed.
We move to agenda